Hi, filter-free Natalie here for Medical Monday, and today I'm taking you on a little tour I like to call the real secret to healthcare. I want to say two things before I start. This is in no way derogatory to any first responders that have been dealing tirelessly throughout this pandemic and losing their lives, some of them in the process. What this video is about to discuss does not include people like that. It also does not include the rare gem of a doctor who actually treats you like a whole person, understands that your symptoms are connected to things like pain, depression, big serious issues. And not all doctors find even you to be a big serious issue. So this is the story that pretty much is a watered down version of what's going on for me. And I absolutely know that I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one having to deal with this. But a big thank you to all the first responders, to all the beautiful, helpful, good energy physicians that are out there for the true purpose of healing, for the true purpose of making our lives better so that we have to come there less often. So, as I say, if you are ready to grow and learn, then let's go. You find a crack in your health foundation, you're diagnosed with a serious disease. So obviously the first thing that we're going to do is find out as much as we can about that disease. And not all internet sources are bad. Then you go see the doctor, and maybe another specialist, and maybe another specialist, to all seek a second opinion. While you're hoping you're being paid attention to more than the last time, they're really not looking for you. They're looking at what your medical record says. You have to talk about your symptoms over and over again, and you're given stats about pass or fail, live or die, and break things down to look smarter than you, to belittle you. And it really starts to sink in after so many of these that a majority of these doctors just don't care. They have a job to do. They have, a number of patients to see. They have their own agenda, and it rarely coincides with your feelings. Doctors don't want to hear feelings, not even pain feelings. They look at labs and say, you shouldn't be feeling this way, or it's totally normal to feel this way. After you have about a half a dozen doctors saying the same thing, you realize the real problem is you are already considered DNR in their mind. Their interest in you is merely clinical. There's nothing for you as a person. You have to get that on your own. You guys have seen, anybody who's following me has seen a couple of videos where I've been extremely upset with the care that the doctors I've seen are providing or not providing. And like I said before, it's not everybody, but I hesitate to use this analogy, but it's so in the media right now. It's not just one or two bad apples. It's not. They're the rule, and the exception are the few that treat you well from top to bottom, like my GYN oncologist. I mean, he's got a whole army walking around, students, people dictating, live on their little laptop. Lots of newbies, got to hold this and, do this stitch and do that other thing. But I was never nervous about it. He made me feel completely at ease, even though I was going to find out if I had cancer again. I lost another organ. I'm running out of the organs that they should take out. And that was all extremely scary. But the doctor made me feel like I mattered. The nurse who worked for him overnight, taking care of me, treated me like I mattered. I had major surgery, and with anesthesia and morphine and whatever else they gave me, and I couldn't even go to sleep the first night. I couldn't go to sleep at all until like 6 a.m. And then they wake you up to discharge you. But I got lucky. I got lucky with him, and I got lucky with the gynecologist that treated me from the ER with my ruptured cysts and forwarded me to him. So I'm here to tell you that I've had good doctors. I've also had a lot of doctors. For me, I don't know what it is for everybody, but for me, I get instantly judged when I'm walking the room because everything is probably because I'm fat. You don't have ascites, you're just fat. You don't have this, you're just fat. Lose weight. Okay. If you don't want to die, don't stand in the middle of the road. What kind of advice is that? Obviously, I'm aware that weight is an issue, but right now, I've gained weight on this combination of drugs, but it's not food gaining, it's water gaining. I even had a recent CT from my most recent ER trips, because when I have any sort of pain, I have to go to the ER. I'm not allowed to have something for pain on a regular basis unless I actually go into pain management. And all I've ever heard about that are horror stories, because you're not allowed to just come in and go, hey, this is what I need. They say, hey, you have to do all of this first. I need to have records. I need to make sure you qualify. And we're going to take it the most painful, least helpful route first before you're even allowed to have actual pain management. Part of that's insurance as well, controlling your meds and things like that. But in reality, I am someone diagnosed with a serious and progressive disease. And even though my liver enzymes have been improved better than my worst numbers that I'm aware of, but I still have the amount of damage I have in my liver is the same. The point of the medications, the point of all of this is to stop it from progressing so quickly. It is not a cure. It is not, I wouldn't even call it a Band-Aid. I would call it, a loosely placed piece of gauze. I'm still sick every day. I've been told by my doctor that I don't need to be seen for these issues I have. I haven't even been seen by that doctor since the beginning of the year, because they care about labs, they care about results. And then when I say, there's certain labs that nobody would really know to think about, and that includes me. I mean, I only have this knowledge because I worked in healthcare for so long. So I have a basic understanding of medical terminology, even though I'm not clinical. And all that does is get you in trouble. Showing a doctor that you can speak their language, it doesn't help. It makes them mad. It makes them say, who's the doctor here? You want to be the doctor? I'll go away. It's always so, I don't know. Why'd I bother? Why did I bother going here? Well, we bothered because I had to have proof of my disease, so liver biopsy that hurt like hell, and I have specifically abdominal pain where my liver is, where my pancreas is, where my spleen is, and then I have adhesions in my abdomen from prior surgeries, and I have water retention, hair loss, steroid-induced acne. And how do you go to a doctor with all of these things weighing on you and have them go, yeah, that's normal. That's normal for your condition. If you don't even get a baseline, how would you know what my normal is? They refuse to do even the most basic tests. They refuse. How's that for feeling like they've addressed your illness as, DNR? Doesn't really matter. Because that's sure what it feels like. And if anybody else is experiencing that or has in the past, I'm really sorry for you. I can empathize. And for the moment, all I can do is stick to who I have. I have a plan in motion in case I do have to have a transplant later. I don't like to talk about a lot of these things because this is an open forum when it comes to people looking at stuff, and if I even made mention of where this doctor works or anything like what I'm planning, that could get me in trouble, I'm assuming. I mean, if it could, it would, because my currently treating physician, my current specialist, I mean, I think he thinks that he sits on the right hand of the big seat, if you get what I'm saying. So that's who keeps me in my maintenance medications for this and tracks my labs. At no point does he offer empathy, understanding, or the slightest suggestion of being a human being. When I cry in his office, he rolls his eyes. When I ask for something like an ultrasound, because an enlarged spleen should be monitored every 6 months on an ultrasound, so you have a baseline to know how big it's gotten, not to mention how big it is compared to most normal sizes. And I was met with, what's next, an MRI for a headache? When your doctor is blatantly making fun of you right there to your face, yeah, you're DNR. So this was a little bit of a different format. I'm having to balance the fact that I still want to do this, even though there are days where I just feel like, why? Nobody's caring. And people that are caring feel like, well, who am I then? I'm caring. It's like anything else. Self-relate. If I've said something like, I can't stand redheads, so not true. They're so lucky. But if I had a redheaded friend, they'd be like, what do you mean you hate redheads? If I'm your friend, I'm not talking about you. You know, if I'm your family, I'm not talking about you. You shouldn't, you know if I'm talking about you or not. If you have the slightest inkling that what I've said triggers you, that's about you. Unless I've said this is a problem between us, your reaction is a trigger for yourself. And I don't need any of that you can have that all yourself. I've lost some people in my life since this has started, as people always show their true colors. And the ones that say, you're not that sick, you're not that sick. Because it's a silent disease a lot of times. I'm sitting here right now making this video, looking in the wrong place for the camera. I'm having chest pain, I'm having joint pain, neck pain, mouth sores, a really bad headache. And since I've taken my medicine, I really need to go pee. And I'm just sitting here talking to you. How would you know any of those things were happening? That's usually how it is. Even my wife forgets sometimes because I'm trying to put on that brave face. I'm trying to put on the idea that I'm okay, it's okay. It's just a rough day. And sometimes that is just it. Like yesterday. Normally I prepare my videos in advance because this is very taxing for me to do, which is why I get frustrated at the people, not that are obviously interested because they've already subscribed, or they're lurking because I see people watching. I see more views than subscribers, so I know there's lurkers, and that's fine. But I am attaching my insecurities onto why I have so few subscribers. And if I have to become this cartoon-like car salesman of my specific video series, or whatever you call it, channel, then maybe I'll never get more than a couple, because I don't have this goal to go viral and all that. My goal is to try and have information, exchange information, help encourage people, or be in a safe space to say, look, I don't feel encouraged. Do you? You know, I mean, it's different for everybody. And I appreciate those that do get on there with all of their skills. It just takes me a really long time to make these videos. So the idea of software and green screen and stuff like that, I've never felt older than I have in the last couple of years. And I'm not old. Not at all. So I managed to keep my video portion down so that you wouldn't have to listen to me so much. And I hope that you leave a comment, like the video, share it, subscribe if you want to. Those are all things that are totally free and ways that really help out the channel. Like it really does. A simple like, a simple thumbs up. Even if it's a thumbs down, it's still something. Even negative attention is attention. I don't know what the problem is with the idea of making a comment, but it's not hard. Make a comment. Good video. Hated your video. Whatever. And I love all of you who are watching, because if you are watching, especially towards the end here, that does show me that there are people out there who care. And that's really hard for me to get. There's not a lot of people I trust anymore, and there's not a lot of people that seem to make me a priority in their lives, which is they're living their lives, and that's fine. But when you don't know how much longer you have, it really feels wrong that it's wasted on wishing people were kinder. So I hope you guys show some kindness. The pandemic is not over. The recent escalation was in young people. Even if you're asymptomatic, you might not even know you have something. But I'm planning on going to my home base in Georgia in July, and I don't know what I was going to say. This is why I wanted to change the way I did videos as well, because if I try and do a long train of thought, it doesn't work well. Anyway, it went away completely. I have no idea. But you guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have the exception type of doctor rather than the rule. Be good to yourselves, and as Lester Holt would say, and each other.